Let's go.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
They want advice. Depressed spouse self-sabotage. Me, 32-year-old male, and my spouse, 37-year-old female. That's kind of a gap.
I felt like I had a judgment about it the first time I read it, and it's not even that bad.
It's not a bad gap. I just am surprised that a 37-year-old woman is attracted to a 32-year-old man.
Not me.
Have been married for 7 years. She has had struggles with depression and self-value her whole life with a riding the waves mentality and coming out of it. Her experience with previous relationships were very damaging and trauma-inducing. Her first boyfriend was 25 when she was 28 and got her pregnant. He wanted an abortion and she wanted adoption, so she set up for her child to be adopted. Next relationship, guy cheated on her with a 15-year-old when she was 24, 25 and verbally abused her.
Christ.
Can I just pause for a second and this better be relevant to the end?
Why do I feel like it's not?
Why is he just telling all of her business like this? So he wants us to know she's damaged.
Keep going.
Okay.
I already have thoughts.
Okay. Her relationship before me sexually and physically abused her via belts and body scans, pinches, etc. She met me after she got away from the abuse and we instantly felt a connection. We got married a year later.
Abuse.
A year later.
This is crazy. Keep going.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. We got married a year later and had our daughter, who's now 6, a year after that.
Jesus.
We've always been good. So they got married and had a kid in the first year.
Crazy.
Nuts. We've always been good, but she has been slipping into a deep depressive state over the past 5 years since her father passed away in 2018.
Keep going.
She never got grief counsel, and her best friend/sister have noticed it all, and I go to her for some advice when she hits deep lows.
It's giving cheating.
It's giving cheating with my sister.
And it's giving... Okay, keep going. I have a little thought. I have like a nugget of a thought, but I need proof, so I need you to keep going.
Okay. She has not been treating it with anything but alcohol at night and never getting proper sleep. Quote, bottle of port wine. I'm sensing some judgment.
Yes.
Here's what
He's
he actually...
sassy. He's sassy.
Here's what he actually cares about. Ready for what really matters to him?
It's going to be sex.
Yep. The sex had been getting less and less frequent, and now it's been 8 to 10 months.
No, he's a bad guy. He's a villain. I'm sorry.
The sex has been getting less and less frequent, and now it's been 8 to 10 months without sex because she doesn't have interest in it at all. She randomly a month ago asked for some space, and we are in a no intimacy, be my friend relationship living in the same house.
She was molested.
I can't kiss her, but if she initiates it, it's fine. What I know getting at is I think she is self-sabotaging herself and stuck in her depression and trying to remove me as a coping mechanism or self-sabotage.
I need him to what book did he read about self-sabotage? What like man friend told him that like self-sabotage?
What if she's not attracted to you because she hates you?
That too.
What if she hates you? What if you suck?
Right. What if you didn't actually, it sounds like you didn't actually give a fuck through any of her grief, through her dad dying, through anything. You literally just fuck me.
You're really telling me you guys were going great until her father passed and she stopped having sex with you.
It was her excuse to stop having sex with you.
I can't kiss her. If she initiates it, it's fine. What I'm getting at is I think she's self-sabotaging herself and stuck on depression and trying to remove me as a coping mechanism or self-sabotage. Me and her sister are trying to get her into EMDR therapy and on medication. Do you think that will help and she will love me again?
Wait, can I read just the very bottom?
Wait, yeah, you can. You want to start where I'm at?
No, I want to read. Oh, you're not at the... Okay, finish. Okay. I just want to read the last part.
Okay, do you think that will help and she will love me again? Does anyone have experience with someone being depressed and acting this way? I'm looking to see if after treatment she will love me again and would want to be intimate. Is that what you wanted to read?
No, read the next part.
Okay. Will treatment turn her back into who she was before and bring back the feelings and connection we had? We never had problems and always talked.
This last, I'm speechless. Wife is cutting me out to spite herself due to depression and self-hatred and attacking our relationship. Will she bounce back after treatment? Oh my God, I have a knot in my stomach.
I don't know if you guys are giving a fair reading of this. Even though he makes me sick as hell too. But
Okay.
Do you want to go or should I?
You can go.
No, you
want me to go? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
All right. What's the question? Do you think that she will help and she will love me again? No. Does anyone have an experience with someone being depressed and acting this way?
Yes. I'm like,
Just turning this back into who she was and bringing out the feelings of the connection.
no.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So my take on this situation, like I'm joking and I'm being like rude on
Facetious,
purpose because
yeah.
it's funny. But my actual reaction to this is that no, you'll never get your wife back again. And what I mean by that is she's a different person now that this grief happened. It sounds like from what you're describing, she had very significant trauma her entire life. And I'm just guessing that based on the fact that those were the partners she picked. I have no idea if her dad was abusive or who was abusive in her life. But I do know that based on the partners that she picked, she was familiar with being mistreated. She went through all of these relationships. It sounds like she did what a lot of people do, which is they bounce to relationship, and then they avoid dealing with their own shit. Like when they feel bad, they can just dump the relationship or whatever. Or, and you're on the flip side, you're in the abusive relationship and you're being abused. Well, that's why I'm unhappy, because I'm being abused. And you get in this cycle. It's really hard to get out. It sounds like she got out of this cycle and got with you, started this life with you. I have no idea how it was before her dad died. It sounds like you're saying it was going well. I'm going to guess that her dad passing brought up a lot of feelings of grief and sadness. And based on the tone of this email, you do not sound like you are empathetic
Or give a fuck.
or being connecting. And maybe that's because you're venting on this thing, but
Which
what
is
it's
also
coming
fucking strange.
what's coming across as is the main issue with your relationship is that you don't have sexual intimacy, which totally sucks. But I'm guessing that long before you stopped having sex, you didn't have emotional intimacy. And I think it's foul that you're teaming up with her sister.
Foul, and the thing that, like,
What are your thoughts?
All of yours, cosine, align. The thing I think that it is for me too is like, it's not just that he wants sex back. It's that he like doesn't care about anything else other than having the old relationship back. Like he wants like the whole old life back. Like sex is like the conduit. But I feel like what's interesting is like, he doesn't even care like that she could be a different person or that she might be a different person. He's like, I just want my old wife back and I want our old connection back. Not curious at all about any of it. And it's just, like you said, like it's just dumping on, he's creating a new connection with the sister, which is sickening.
The other thing I will say is I get this notion of like someone died 5 years ago, like someone being grieving for 5 years sucks as a partner.
Yeah.
And like if she had to have conversations with you about the fact that you're no longer allowed to initiate, that lets me know that she was feeling pressure to have sex with you, which is pretty much the most drying thing ever.
Disgusting.
Rather than trying to talk about the lack of sexual intimacy, I would suggest having an honest conversation about what's going on for you. Yes, including the sex, but working on connecting emotionally and seeing where she's at emotionally. The fact that she's like, I can initiate it, but you can't, lets me know there's a lot of anxiety and fear around having sex. And I don't know if that has to do with you or not, or what's being brought up in her mental health right now, but it's not a good sign for how she feels about your guys' intimacy.
And I think to that point too, it's not just a good sign about like your guys' intimacy, but the fact that you're just kind of trying to put kind of stamps or kind of band-aids on this instead of looking at deeper issues. You're just kind of outsourcing all of this anxiety that you are having into trying to make her better instead of looking at kind of why is it hard to kind of have a partner who's going through this or things like that. Like you're just not looking at self. It's all about like her and her things. That makes sense.
And maybe you guys don't want to be together anymore. Right. And that's a conversation too. Like you're also not you're just not super villain if you don't want to be together anymore. But it sounds like the timeline for you guys getting married and meeting each other and all of that was very quick, and maybe you rushed into this before you guys really knew and understood each other.
I think there's a lot of work to be done.
I'm so like sort of conflicted with this because I am with you guys every step of every way, like just like puke as far as like answers. And then at the same time, when you kind of criticize them, it's like I have had guy friends talk about women withholding sex. Like the line in there where it talks about that it's not okay for me to initiate a kiss, but it is okay for her. I feel like that's never happened to me, but I absolutely have heard that so many times that I feel like there's got to be some, like, is it never the woman's fault if that happens?
I don't think that that's what either of, I think it's that often when we hear that narrative that like men are, she's withholding sex and maybe she is, maybe she's even owning that she's withholding sex. There's this kind of push for you owe me this to get over this for us or something. There's not a whole lot of often curiosity coming from the partner, at least, who's not getting their sexual needs fulfilled. And that could be like men or women necessarily.
Mhm.
But I think they often don't look at what they are doing to maybe not create like a sexually intimate situation or, um, and I think that's normally what it comes down to because in my experience, when I've worked with couples and things like that, people are often the person who's wanting all this sex is surprised that the person has all these reasons why they might not want to. It has never occurred to them that they might like their partner might not be attracted to them anymore or might be really mad at them or might be really resentful. Like these things just don't come up. It's just you are just withholding sex to be bitter. And I find it hard to believe that any partner wants to have to be in a partnership where they're withholding sex.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was going to ask is it because I actually do like
And
I have a
oh sorry,
completely
go
different
ahead.
take on what you said.
I have a thing too though is that you also like don't have to want to have sex in your relationship. Like it's okay to just not feel sexual for for
Mhm.
an extended amount of time. You don't have to have the same libido all the time. And it's also the other
True.
partner's job to be like, hey, there might be swaths in our relationship where we're not sexually active together.
I disagree with that.
How long?
I don't know. That's between partners, I think.
I think I disagree with that. I don't think your sex drive has to be the same, but I think that the second not having sex stops being a conversation, it's a problem.
Yes.
I think it should be a conversation of point of contention when you're not having sex.
Yes.
So I don't want to give this notion that like, oh, it's not a big deal if you're not having sex with your partner and men are just pigs. Like it's not that.
Yeah.
The reason why her not wanting to be touched, what I actually got from it was totally different from what Rachel got, which is that like a lot of people, when they are working through like sexual issues or sexual trauma or any kind of like sexual negativity, I can't describe it except to say that like there's this internal pressure as a woman to feel like you should be having sex with your partner that actually a lot of times has nothing to do with your partner. It's just the way it feels like it's a duty. And I don't think necessarily
it's always on the
partner force that.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, I often see like partners trying to have sex, like men repeatedly trying to have sex with women and be like, if I try a different way, she'll want to have sex with me. and not realizing that like
conversation.
Not just conversation. What if she just doesn't want to have sex? What if her sex drive is like nothing? That's like things that happen for people. What if like her mind wanders during sex? What if she feels out of body during sex? And it's not on the partner to discover that. It's you would hope that the partner not having sex would be willing to share that. But I just think like what I do notice is men really personalize when women don't want to have sex with them.
Yes.
And that is hard for the woman. And I think a lot of times when women are saying, I don't initiate, it's not because they're repulsed by their partner. It's because they know that every single time they reject their partner, it creates a bigger rift in the relationship. So it's like, can we have a break from this tension for a little bit while I figure my shit out?
So
without me feeling the need
and
to
I know that
sex.
I guarantee this person on Reddit is not saying that to their husband.
Yes.
I guarantee that's not what's happening. But I'm just saying the internal thought process of most people's sex drive when it dwindles is not about their partner.
No.
And maybe this is a Minnesota like white thing sort of, but in my experience, like when I've heard of these dynamics, right? It is, I have never heard of any, and you hear about this all the time, right? And it's like, I've never heard some guy saying, and she just came to me and she explained how she's feeling and ends up she doesn't want to, but she's still attracted to me. She still values me. And, I love her. It's like, no, they're not talking. That's the whole problem. Right. It does make guys crazy because you go, okay, so the relationship is you are angry with me. You don't have sex. I'm still supposed to do things and you're grouchy because you feel defensive around me.
That's, I mean, imagine if you're like, I mean, I know you wouldn't say that to somebody, but imagine like that's your general synopsis of it. Right. And that's like,
it is for a lot of guys, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it is a lot of men's like synopsis. And I think that's an issue. It's not the issue. It's just part of the equation is like,
It's personally offensive because the story you're making up about me is so unflattering and paints me in such a position that I'm also not a sexual being. And the only reason I was having sex with you is because you were earning it, or I liked you, or you were attractive, or you coerced that out of me. If I'm a sexual being, like, I'm not having sex with you because I don't want to have sex. Like, that's a need of my own.
And
That's a good point.
And imagine saying that to somebody like that. I mean, even for me, like I immediately feel defensive. Like
Yeah.
I have to like go back at you with, well, that's not true, and that's not true, and that's not true, and this is why I am this, and like it doesn't. That's not like a connective like way to ask, like way to even think of your partner. Like you're going in with malintent already.
The thing I think that women do wrong is that instead of acknowledging all the shame they feel about not being able to be sexual in that moment and how they feel like they're not doing what they're supposed to as a wife or a partner, they just focus on the resentment they have towards their husband that they want to have sex with them. And that's not fair. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that your husband wants to connect with you sexually. He's probably not doing it the best way. And that's irritating. And you get to feel misunderstood and frustrated. But what I see a lot of the cop-outs women do is they're just projecting. It's a lot of like, you're just being a wimp because you're not having sex, and I'm going to dismiss you and act like this need is selfish and not a part of a marriage. And it is a part of a marriage.
Sex is a huge part of a marriage. And I think too, like women often have like these big pillars of what sex should be. Like it has to feel this way. And I think men maybe have this too, but I think women, at least when I talk to them, they're like, you know, it has to feel this way and it has to go this way. And I can't initiate if it's not like this. And if he doesn't do this, it can't go right. And they have all these kind of like check marks about what the sexual experience should be like based off of movies. Often when you really dig into it, it's like, oh, where did these come from? Instead of trying to just experience their partner or let him do things that maybe feel foreign to you or things like that. And not necessarily stretching, but there's this kind of often like a roadmap in a lot of women's head, I think, for how sex has to go.
Stretching would be a good start.
That's hard.